Hello again, you big bunch of weirdos. It still baffles me that people tune into watching my videos. But welcome back. Here is the Mark 18 lower. First of all, do you want to see what £175 gets you? In this day and age, not a fat lot. So we've got a couple of trigger parts, a barrel, which I picked up what do you call it? Lilacs MWS barrel, hoping that that will fit the AK as well as a 9-ball rubber. And but that will be in a future video because we've got a ton of parts coming for the AK. And I've basically picked up the rest of the Guns Modified trigger parts. I picked these up. There's actually a company, one of the airsoft companies in the UK, bringing all these Guns Modified MWS parts in, which is fire support. So I popped a cheeky order in with them, and basically just ordered all the bits that were missing from the set, I suppose. The only part I didn't want is the hammer, because the hammer was absolute garbage when I fitted it into the Geisley build. But these are the bits here. You have a little thing with like an important notice about the trigger. These are a pain in the asshole to set. I sat there for, I'd probably say 2.5 hours doing the Geisley build just to realise that the hammer wasn't working properly. So yeah, we've got some bits here. Fire Support's website with this, I don't know if it's a Guns Modified issue or a Fire Support's website issue, but these parts, the Guns Modified parts, are super confusing on their website, because they have, like, copies of said parts. Like, they've got that Sear that I fitted in there. They've got two versions of it. They've got the Sear and then they've got the Evo version, but the parts look exactly the same. There's nothing to show or tell you why or if there is any difference. So this is the full auto Sear. This is steel one. That's just a longevity part, so we'll match that up with the semi-Sear. We've got the trigger. Now, I ordered this same trigger from Hong Kong or wherever. Where did I order it from? Don't know, can't remember. WGC maybe? Could have been Boom Arms. I think it was actually Boom Arms. And I ordered this set, which was meant to come with the Geyser trigger. Now, they do another version of this trigger which doesn't have the G mark in there, and the trigger's a little bit of a different style. What I will say, though, is I'm pretty sure they give you 2 grub screws. I'm pretty sure it's meant to have another grub screw that sits there. But on this one, looks like I'm getting shafted by Guns Modified again. So yeah, if you see that there, it's got another screw. So they give me 2 screws, but there's no fecking hole there, so I don't know what I'm meant to do that. See how the trigger looks different? Yeah, that really pissed me off, because, you order bits online. I picked the guys the option, and Boom Arms, which is the company that I bought my M733 from, not only did Boom Arms piss me off with the wrong trigger, but they also pissed me off with this. Now, I ordered a forward assist, Guns Modified forward assist from Boom Arms, and this is what came in the packet. It had something written on the back here, and that's what I got. Yeah. To me, you look at that package and think there's something missing? Yeah, I did too. So, here is the actual part. Does that look right to you? Apart from me what just fell out? Was it the spring? In my rant, that little spring has just been yeeted into oblivion, but it's not important. I'll find it in a minute. But yeah, they sent me something that was completely different. So, and if you complain to them, they're just like, no, not our problem. even though they've sent something that's been opened and something else has been put in there. But yeah, You live and you learn. So that would be interesting if that doesn't have the hole. What I might have to do is just contact Guns Modify and say, you know, WTF is this bullshit. So we've got the trigger, we've got the sear, which sits on there. We've got the FA sear, we've got the trigger connector thing, and then whatever this part is, I can't remember. So basically all the other parts that we need, apart from the one that we've already bought. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to snap this trigger unit out. So that felt like an even bigger of an arsehole to get out than the first time I took it out. Jesus Christ. I need to find what's fouling on that and what's the issue, because we're going to have to take this probably apart a third time when Bavtak gets his Z plates back in stock. But my God, that's tight. So we have the trigger box out. We need to remove the 3 trigger box screws. And then we can flip it over and lift this side off. And we have some bits here. I didn't get that part. I think it was because they didn't have it in stock at the time. So we can pull the trigger mechanism apart here, and you can see it. Hammer's probably going to stay. Need to swap that part out, which is really easy to do because it just slides into the trigger housing's DMs, and pop that spring off. We can release the hammer. That part can go in its place like that. We can set that on the FA sear. So that's done. Just this part we need to figure out. So we've got this bit, this bit, this bit. So I think I've got 5 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we need to pop this spring out without losing another one. Pop that piece off. And we need this little bushing here and the spring that sits underneath the trigger, hammer, catch, whatever you call this part. Give up at this point. That needs to go on there. We can set that into place. The bushing can go on. That can go on as well. And then that could go on there. And that part's done. That's how easy it is once you've got it all apart. So we can flip that round and set that in place. We can put the housing together. And then what I'm going to do is test this before we obviously put this all back into the gun, because yeah, I suggest you tune it while it's out, because doing it the other way around, especially how hard it is to get these housings in and out, they obviously don't want people messing with them, do they? So 3 screws. 1, 2, the final one. There we go. So we can set this, we can drop the FA sear, and you can see where we need to remove that take up. So there is a very definite wall there, and I think we can do this while it's together. So we take one of these screws, something about Loctite there, and I'm going to need an Allen key that is thin enough. And what I'm going to do, I've got some mild Liquimoly thread lock. It's the medium one. This stuff's really good. I prefer it to the 3M brand stuff. I'm going to put a tiny bit on there, and I'm going to take most of it off with my finger. And we're going to go through, I don't know if you can see that hole there, that little hole. And we're going to set this in place. So, saying that now, I think that front screw on the other one, I think that was the only one that didn't really do anything. I think it was setting the hammer release or something, so we might not actually need it. Let's pop the pin in to keep it in place. And the rear screw to make sure the tension on that trigger is what it needs to be. So, hammer's locked, full auto sear drops, that trigger is solid, doesn't drop the hammer. We might have to see, I think this is the issue I ran into before. So basically we need to push one of the latches, which is this one here, because it's too far in, I think. So let's back it off. Just trying to remember what I did. So that's not working. Let's back it out some more. Yeah. So what it does basically is it locks up the trigger, and then you have to just press the hammer catch down. It's just a case of spending the time adjusting these screws. If it locks up, push that, loosen it off. And there is a sweet spot. So there's a bit of slop. Let's see if we can get rid of it. Let's test it with me Guiseley. Okay, a little bit smoother. So what we could do, spray a bit of oil in there and see if it loosens up. Because it was a tad dry. You have to have the semi-sear backed out. But now, like I said, this, if you're fitting these parts, persevere, just I recommend backing that screw out all the way, so it's not interfering, and then tune this screw first. If it does get stuck, like I say, you flick it to auto, it will clear it. But now there's like so little take up there, but we want it reliable, so oh yeah, it's right there now. It's like literally like a fraction of a millimeter. I did spend a lot more time on this one, and there's no movement there. It's right there. So I could sit down for an hour and fine tune it. I don't think the missing adjustment screw hole is going to have any effect. See, the trigger's right there now, and we have quite a lot of take up in the brake, so now I think we adjust that one in. But the more that we wind the release up, the more slack we have this side. So this adjusts the sear drop. This adjusts your slack in the trigger. So we've gone too far there. We have gone too far. So the tighter of a hammer drop we have, the slightly bit more slack we have in, we can remove the hammer drop travel. So we can remove the trigger travel, but it messes with the take up. So for instance, we wind this in, eventually it will break like that. Back it off half a turn. So now the trigger travel, watch the break on this. There's hardly any break. So you can adjust it. You set it to what you want. I know this is probably going to be a bit of a long video, so you do have take up there. I think that's how we'll have this one set up. That's kind of like set up like a match trigger. It is a, you know, a DMR. So it's right there, but the hammer drop is there's a longer trigger pull to drop the hammer in the DMR, and I think that's probably a good thing because we're pushing higher power with this thing. So the trigger's solid, so we'll get on the trigger, but there's a slight longer pull on it, which is probably makes sense for a marksman's rifle, where with a battle rifle we can afford to have that slack. We can come up on the rifle, we can get ready on the trigger, we know where the wall is, and we're waiting to take our opportunity. Target presents itself, and the break is just tiny. So I hope this has helped you with your Guns Modify based trigger upgrade. Like I say, you can have it either way. You can have wall at the front, longer pull to release, or you can have slack in the trigger to a solid wall and then a tiny movement, minuscule movement to drop the hammer. So I think that's how we'll have it set up on this one. We'll have a little bit of take up, and then the hammer's drop is just it's so light. Like the trigger in the DMR is heavier. So that's a trade-off too. So thanks for tuning into this boring MWS trigger video. It's going to be a pain to edit because I've been going for so long. I'll try and cut it down for you. But I hope this has helped, because both times I've fitted a Guns Modify upgrade trigger part now, both times I've had the same issues. So just setting it up is a bit of a bitch. oh Christ, I am doing my best to keep these videos going up for you guys. So please bear with me in them. I know it gets a bit long-winded sometimes, but I'm learning as well. Obviously I don't produce these parts, so I'm just trying to get them right. Why will you not fucking go on? Get on there, you bitch. There's probably been a lot more swearing in this one compared to my other videos, but oh, I like that. I might change the other one. Let's slap a mag in. Has this got gas in it? Maybe a little problem with the reset. Might have to back it off a little bit. How fast can we fire it though? Yeah. Full auto still work. Further tuning needed. We'll get it right. I'm going to call it here. Thanks for tuning into another video. I've got more MWS bits on the way. I've got a fancy bolt. I think, is it for this one? Maybe not. Either this one or the short Geisley one. I've got a fancy bolt coming. I've got a fancy receiver which won't go on this because obviously, you know, Colt receivers are prominent on the Mark 18s. So that'll probably go on the Mini Geisley, or we might even make another one. Who knows? Thanks for tuning into this boring video. See you in the next one. Have a great day. Just for those of you that stayed after the end, I did fine adjust it. I've removed the play out of the trigger, but it has made it more reliable. And I'm out of gas. So I did get it right in the end. It's a little bit more like my Geisley one, but better turret reliable than super low poundage, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I'm going to go to bed now. See you later.